Tonight, the Australian Parliament delivered for the Australian people. With the passage of the JobKeeper legislation, millions of Australian jobs have been saved and millions of Australian families have been given hope. Tonight was a Team Australia moment, and I want to thank the opposition for the constructive role they played in the passage of the legislation this evening. At $130 billion, the JobKeeper package is unprecedented in scale and scope and is like nothing this country has ever seen before. A fortnightly payment of $1,500 with some 6 million Australian workers expected to receive it. Part-time workers, full-time workers, casuals, sole traders and those who are working for not-for-profit organisations. The JobKeeper package at $130 billion is much more than a material or financial or indeed even a practical boost. The JobKeeper package is a psychological boost for our nation. And tonight our message is clear to the Australian people. We have your back and we will do what is necessary to ensure that our nation gets to the other side of this coronavirus crisis. I would like to pay tribute to the outstanding leadership of our Prime Minister Scott Morrison, whose strong and decisive leadership has helped this country at this difficult time. I would also like to thank the Deputy Prime Minister, the Finance Minister and the Leader of the Government in the Senate, and the Attorney General for the important roles that they played in the preparation of the legislation that passed the Parliament tonight. I would also like to acknowledge our dedicated and professional public service and the many men and women who helped in the preparation of this legislation, and in particularly the leadership role played by the Treasury Department. Australia entered this economic crisis from a position of economic strength. Having delivered the first balanced budget in 11 years, Australia had the financial flexibility and the financial firepower to respond to this challenge in a way that other countries do not. We have provided 3 significant economic packages, which has seen a cash flow boost for hundreds of thousands of small businesses, cash payments to more than 6 million Australians on income support, pensioners, those on family tax benefit, Commonwealth Seniors Health Card, carers payment, and many others on income support. We have doubled the safety net to help those who have tragically fallen on hard times by cushioning that blow. And we have injected, with the Reserve Bank, more than $100 billion into our financial system to ensure that credit and its flow is maintained. All of these measures that we have announced in response to the coronavirus have been guided by our principles. In particular, our measures have been temporary. We don't want to engage in spending 1 day longer than is absolutely necessary. Our measures have been targeted. Our measures have been proportionate to the challenge we face. Our measures have been scalable, and we have tried at every opportunity to use the existing tax and welfare system, because that way the money can be delivered to Australian households in the most efficient and effective way. The Prime Minister has talked about our nation travelling the road in. Well, right now, we are travelling the road through. But already we have started to think about that road out. These are very difficult days for the Australian community. But Australia has seen difficult days before. And we will get through this. And we will get through this together. And tonight, with the passage of the Job Keeper package at $130 billion, the biggest economic lifeline that this country has ever seen, the government, the nation, has now built an economic bridge to the other side of the coronavirus crisis. Are there any questions?
Treasurer, you talk about the road in, the road through, the road out, and the other side. These economic measures you've taken tonight, $130 billion, is it sustainable beyond the 6 months the Prime Minister keeps talking about?
Well, the Prime Minister's prepared the nation for the 6-month journey ahead. And that's right, because the way the coronavirus crisis ends is with a vaccine, with antivirals, and with a medical solution. But we know that people are finding it very tough out there, and particularly in industries like retail and in tourism and in hospitality. It was heartbreaking to see those queues outside Centrelink. And the wages subsidy that has been passed through the Parliament tonight will indeed help so many millions of Australians keep their job and maintain that formal connection between employer and employee. So yes, this is a major demand on the public purse. But we have put ourselves into a position where Australia can meet these costs because of the responsible economic management that prepared us for this very time.
Can you go beyond the 6 months, though?
Our focus right now is on delivering the support that people need it most. And that's why we prepared this legislation for 6 months, just like the other economic measures that we announced. They were prepared for this period of time. None of the measures are set and forget. We'll continue to assess the need as it arises. But tonight's package of measures through the JobKeeper package is going to be extremely important in helping build that bridge to the recovery phase.
Treasurer, you've spoken about the Australian Parliament delivering for the Australian people. There will be some people at home tonight who don't feel that way. There's 1.1 million casuals who won't receive the JobKeeper payment, 565,000 international students who inject billions of dollars into the Australian economy, temporary visa holders who have no other safe place to go. What do you say to those Australians who aren't benefiting from this $130 billion package and feel as though they should?
Well, the first thing I'd say about casuals is we have adopted the definition within the Fair Work Act. And for those casuals that have been connected to their employer for 12 months or more, they will be able to access the JobKeeper package. And for those casuals who are not able to access the JobKeeper package, we have effectively doubled the safety net through the Job Seeker Coronavirus Supplement with an additional $550. And so people will be able to access that support, which is significant. And of course, when it comes to the temporary visa holders, as you said, we are giving them access to their superannuation up to $10,000, and that will help in meeting some of the costs.
How many casuals, you've spoken about the casuals that have worked for somewhere for more than 12 months, how many casuals don't fit into that category and miss out?
Well, about 1 million is the number.
That's quite a lot.
Absolutely, there are people who do not come within this particular program, but 6 million Australians will be able to access the JobKeeper payment. The Australian workforce is just over double that. So that means 6 million Australians are going to be able to draw down on the JobKeeper payment at a time when they need it. And this is going to be extremely important in keeping people in a job. We have always said that the line had to be drawn. We needed a program that would get the support to the people who needed it most. We needed a program that would get the support in the most efficient and effective way. We needed a program that used the existing tax and transfer system. And we didn't adopt the United Kingdom's model or New Zealand's model or Canada's model. We adopted the Australian solution to an Australian challenge.
Can I ask, how much credit do you give the unions for helping the government to get this package through the Parliament?
Well, Christian Porter has talked about the constructive discussion that he has had with the union leadership, but he's also consulted with the business community, which has also been important in the preparation of this legislation. There are many stakeholders that will be impacted upon by the legislation that has passed the Parliament tonight. And they've had their opportunity to provide their input, and I'm very pleased that the legislation has got through in record time.
How are you feeling personally as the man charged with propping up a sort of, not failing, but a certainly strained global economy? How difficult has this last fortnight been for you personally?
Well, it's not about me. I mean, I think a lot of people have worked long hours, early mornings and late evenings, but if I think about anyone who's doing it tough right now, in addition to those people who have contracted the coronavirus, I'm thinking about those health workers on the front line. They're the people who are working day and night to save other people's lives. They're the heroes of this global pandemic. They're the ones that we are relying on to keep the Australian people safe. There are so many people for whom, through no fault of their own, as a result of the coronavirus, they are being subject to the most extreme economic shock. And that's why the government has taken this unprecedented action. I had no idea when I became the Treasurer that I would be embarking on a wage subsidy such as we have done tonight. But extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures. And the Prime Minister, with his leadership and the government, have been absolutely focused on keeping Australians in a job and keeping Australian businesses in business.
Last question. Treasurer, we see figures out tonight that say 1.4 million Australians have lost their jobs as a result of this crisis already. We've seen queues outside Centrelink similar to queues we saw during the 1929 depression. Are the measures taken now enough to avoid Australia going down the path of the depression?
Well, tonight's measures, I think, will go a long way to building that bridge to the recovery phase. And we know that already more than 730,000 businesses have registered with the Australian Tax Office their interest in taking up the JobKeeper payment. That's 730,000 businesses employing millions of Australians. They'll be big and small. They'll be sole traders. Indeed, there'll be not-for-profits who already have also registered their interest. This is a very broad-based scheme of support. And I think for many Australians, this will be the economic lifeline that they were looking for. This will give them the confidence, and their employers the confidence, to know that despite the difficulties of the times that we face, they will get to the other side. And as you know, we've talked extensively about our hibernation strategy, about supporting businesses, whether it's with the code of conduct between landlords and tenants, whether it's the agreements with the energy companies, whether it's with the banks who have been deferring loan repayments, whether it's with insurance companies. This has all been designed to ensure that businesses and their employees can get to the other side. And I'm confident that with tonight's passage of the legislation, we have made a massive step forward in the right direction. Last
Treasurer, can
question.
I just ask about the timing of the first payment? Are you concerned that there may be some businesses that can't hold on to their employees, even though it is backdated, that they
Sure.
may not be able to hold on until that first week of May?
Well, the payments are a month in arrears, and the first payments will start from the first week of May. And the tax office, who we're in constant contact with, and I would like to thank the tax commissioner, Chris Jordan, and his second tax commissioner, Jeremy Hirschon, as well as Jenny Wilkinson in my department and the secretary, Stephen Kennedy, all of whom have been working day and night to ensure that the implementation phase is carried through consistent with our intent. And the businesses who are looking to pay their workers now should feel free to reach out to their banks, because the Banking Association has made it very clear that they will provide that bridging finance to their customers to when the payments arrive in early May. With the passage of the legislation tonight, the tax office will move quickly to follow through and to provide the guidance necessary and to seek the requisite information from those businesses that have registered, so that we can get on and deliver that JobKeeper payment to millions of Australian workers. Thank you.